The envelope was pink, a delicate floral pink that didn't belong on a table lined with crystal glasses and birthday candles. My wife placed it in front of me like it was a menu. Her mother leaned back, smiling. Her sister held up her phone, recording. "Open it," my wife said. Her voice had that tight sweetness she used when she wanted to humiliate someone without smudging her lipstick. I didn't move. The restaurant lights glowed too warm, too soft, pretending this moment was gentle. Inside, I already knew something had shifted. Days earlier, subtle hints had begun to stitch themselves together. Late-night calls, sudden silences, the careful avoidance of my eyes. And now, the envelope. A waiter passed behind me, murmuring happy returns. My wife laughed. Her mother whispered something about finally freeing her. I slide a finger under the flap, pull out the papers. Cold legal text stares back at me. Petition for dissolution of marriage. A sticky note is attached. 4 words, written in my wife's perfect cursive. From all of us. My sister-in-law zoomed in on my face, waiting for shock, waiting for collapse. They expected a man to break, but all I felt was the familiar click, the internal shift I'd prepared for, the final confirmation that everything I suspected was true. So I smiled, a small, practiced thing. "Thank you," I whispered. I folded the papers, stood up, walked out, and none of them knew. I'd already finished my part of the story. The truth had started whispering to me months earlier, quietly at first, like a draft slipping through a locked window. My wife became lighter, effortlessly cheerful in a way that made my skin tighten. She bought new clothes without explanation, new perfume, new secrets. She began leaving her phone face down. She used her laptop on the balcony, away from my line of sight. Whenever I walked into a room, a conversation ended. Her mother's attitude changed too, more pity than contempt when she looked at me. Pity is louder than words. Then came the Thanksgiving call from my daughter-in-law weeks earlier, her voice sharp, impatient. "If you want to join Thanksgiving, come wash the dishes." She said it like I was the help, like I hadn't raised her husband from nothing to a man with his own company. I simply replied, "Enjoy." Silence on the line. Confusion, annoyance, dismissal. It didn't matter. None of them knew where I had been, or what villa I was standing in when I sent her the photos later that night. When her calls blew up my phone 71 times, I didn't answer the first 70, because her panic wasn't my priority. My wife was. And the cracks in her behavior were widening into fault lines. False smiles, sudden defensiveness, a little too much attention to her phone's battery percentage. The emotional betrayal lurked just beneath her skin. I felt it in the way she touched me, with obligation instead of affection, routine instead of desire. I didn't confront. Not then. No, I let suspicion breathe. Let it grow claws. Let it gather shape. Because some truths require patience to ripen. I began quietly, always quietly. A second phone. A private investigator who never asked questions. My own access to our shared accounts. My wife was sloppy in her confidence. People usually are when they believe themselves untouchable. Her messages synced to a cloud she forgot existed. Her location services remained on. Her calendar held more than meetings. I watched patterns form, late-night drives, hotel reservations, deleted messages. The digital fingerprints of adultery. DNA wasn't necessary. There were no children to question, only loyalties. Still, I checked everything. Phone records, credit card charges, the investigator's photos, a restaurant booth shared with a man she had once claimed not to remember, a hallway kiss in a hotel she pretended she'd never been inside, her hand in his hair, and the look, the one she never saved for me anymore. Outwardly, I stayed composed. Inwardly, I cataloged every detail, every lie, every opportunity she thought she was getting away with. At home, I cooked dinner as usual, Listen to her talk about her long day at work with the same calm I used in board meetings. She didn't notice the shift in me. No one ever notices the quiet ones. I let her play the role, let her pretend she controlled the narrative. Meanwhile, I was constructing the ending. The evidence landed in my inbox at 2:14 a.m., a full report, time-stamped photos, their conversations transcribed. My hands didn't shake. My heartbeat didn't rise. I simply exhaled. Truth brings a strange, cold calm. The next morning, I placed the report beside her coffee cup, said nothing, just waited. She entered the kitchen with her usual careless confidence, saw the folder, opened it. I watched the color drain from her face, watched the tremor begin in her fingers. What is this?" her voice cracked. "A question you already answered," I said. Nothing more. She flipped pages desperately, as if she could unsee each photograph. Her eyes reddened, her lips parted in a helpless, silent gasp. She tried to speak. I raised a hand. "I know," I whispered, and that was enough to break her. Revenge doesn't need noise. It needs timing. Before she could spiral into apologies, I slid another document across the counter. A property transfer. Signed, stamped, irreversible. Everything she thought belonged to her, the house, the investments, the accounts, was no longer in her name. I had shifted it all weeks ago, while she was busy lying. Her voice collapsed into a whisper. What did you do?" "Prepared," I said, calmly. She reached for me. I stepped back. "Don't," I murmured. My restraint was colder than anger, more effective than shouting. When her mother and sister encouraged this little birthday humiliation, they believed they were delivering the final blow. They didn't know the stripe had already happened. Quietly, precisely, completely. So when they handed me the divorce letter from all of us, I accepted it, like a man receiving a gift he had purchased himself. I walked out of that restaurant with a strange, clean emptiness. Not joy, not triumph, just release. Their laughter still echoed behind me, the final soundtrack of people who thought I was the victim. I wasn't. Not anymore. By the time they realized what I had done, what I had transferred, what I had secured, what I had taken back, it was already too late. My wife called, her sister, her mother. 71 missed calls. Again. History loves symmetry. I didn't answer. Not one. Some truths don't need to be spoken. They're felt, shattering, and silent. And as I stepped into the night air, papers in my hand, steps steady and unhurried, I finally understood something I should have known all along. Walking away isn't weakness. It's the final blow.